So we'll get you all the updates and live coverage, of course, ahead of the state dinner. But we're also being joined by Preity Upala, a geopolitical expert who's live with us from France. And she continues to be with us as this mega visit unfolds. Thank you so much, Preity, for joining us here. Preity, we've been getting our viewers the news breaks regarding the various deals, be it the GEHL deal or even, the H-1B visa. The norms might be just revised. There were talks of realignment just as the Ukraine-Russia war broke out. There were talks of, shifting of sides and rearrangement of the geopolitics and so on and so forth. But, India remains unaffected. And India's ties with the West, specifically, we talk about the #1 superpower that America remains. It's only getting better what we see right now, irrespective of our ties with Russia or what position India takes at the UNSC maybe. What does this really say about India's foreign policy today?
Well, namaste. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Shout out to your wonderful audience. Although I'm American, I'm all the way in France right now. And by the way, even everybody here in France is talking about this momentous meeting of the Honorable Prime Minister in the US. So I think the whole world is watching, which actually, speaks to the point of how successful actually the Indian foreign policy has been. And I think their non-aligned strategy is actually the only way to go post-COVID and post-conflict, I would say, and the way of the future. And I expect other countries to follow. You mentioned taking sides. I think India would be wise to just stay her ground, always be neutral, follow her own interests, and make sure that her national security is the #1 issue, as it is for any sovereign country. And I think the US is slowly starting to realize that India is actually a formidable partner for it and not a geopolitical pawn, as it might have been in the past. And I think relationship needs trust and, mutual respect. And I think we're finally starting to see the beginning of that between the two greatest democracies and the two greatest economies in the world. I expect India to play a much bigger role with the days to follow. I think it's going to be an even more interesting world to come. I don't think we've seen the beginning of it yet. And I think India is really going to play the pivotal role there. So it's incredible, though. The whole world is watching, and it's great that America understands India's role today on the global stage. And I think it truly is an example of great soft power and also great hard power, I would say. And of course, being a very powerful nuclear state as well,
right.
It's not something that can be ignored anymore. So this is so thrilling for everybody, especially the diaspora here in the
Absolutely.
States.
It's for the world to see indeed. It's for the world to see indeed. Yes, Ms. Upala, of course, it's for the world to see, and all eyes are, of course, on that big bilateral meeting as well tonight. But I'll request both our guests, Ms. Upala and Mr. Oja, to stay with us as we are just slipping into a very short break. But on the other side, we will be getting the latest, of course, from this visit, and also more news coming in on the other side. India, remember, continues to be the bright spot in itself. Fitch ratings have just raised its forecast for India's economic growth to 6.3%. And lots more coming up on that on the other side. Stay tuned.